Welcome to FridayNightOhio.com's From the Pressbox Stark County Edition for Week 12, the second round of the high school playoffs. From the repository, I'm Chris Bevan.
From the Independent, I'm Chris Easterling.
We're going to break down some of the games from last weekend and look ahead to the two big matchups in Division I on Saturday night. First off, the game both of us saw, Massillon and Hoover over at Paul Brown. Just a great high school football game, hard-hitting, and neither team backed down.
Absolutely. It's kind of what we expected out of those two teams. Hoover steady pounding of Eric Howard, and Massillon trying to pound Eric Howard when Hoover had the ball. And just terrific game. Massillon really rose to the occasion on defense, held Howard to under 100 yards, and they get to move on now. It
was a really impressive defensive effort. Bo Grunder in particular, he was in on 16 tackles, had some big catches on offense, and just a great all-around game by him to really lead that Tiger effort.
Absolutely. Grunder and Josh Remark, their other safety, Danny Hunes. I mean, you can go on and on. The kids on Massillon's defense who really rose up, because it's not an easy task to slow Eric Howard down.
No, and I think you really got to give Hoover credit for not backing down. They were down early, and it looked like Massillon might have its way, and a lot of kids for Hoover fought back and made that a football game. Games we didn't see, but we know what happened. GlenOak and McKinley really got it rolling, playing some out-of-county teams to set up their second-round matchup.
Absolutely. McKinley's really starting to play good football right now. It started with the Boardman game. It's carried on through the Massillon game, now into the playoffs. And the big key, I think, has really been the play of Kyle Orzansky. 3 straight outstanding performances by the quarterback. And if McKinley keeps getting that type of performance from him, they're going to be a really tough out.
It's really impressive to see the way McKinley has handled that Hoover debacle. You know, they blow the 34-2 halftime lead. I think a lot of people thought at that point, this team's done. And, you know, like I said, they regrouped against Boardman. And then you saw that great effort they put together against Massillon to really right the ship.
Absolutely, and like I say, I mean, they've become a more all-around team. They're getting healthy, and I think you have to kind of hit rock bottom before you really start to pick yourself back up. And they hit rock bottom at Hoover, and now they're really starting to climb up.
For GlenOak, it was the game against Boardman late in the season where they got shut out, gained 62 yards of total offense, and that was kind of their rock bottom. Eagles have been playing very good football since. They built on that Hoover win by closing out strong against Perry, and then really took it to Wadsworth and was never really threatened in that game.
No, and the thing about GlenOak is that their defense, and their defense has been a constant throughout the season, save for a little hiccup there in Week 2 against Massillon. But they're not just stopping teams; they're getting offense out of their defense, which is something that makes them a dangerous football team.
You've got a lot of 3-year players over there, and you're seeing that right now. So looking ahead to these matchups, first Massillon and Twinsburg, a lot of skilled players on that field.
It's going to be an entertaining game, I think. A little different. Massillon's going to have to go from Hoover's kind of pro-style powder running game to a Twinsburg team that's going to spread it out. They're going to run the ball, but they're going to run with a lot of speed, a lot of getting to the edge, trying to take advantage of their athleticism, although I think Massillon can match them athlete for athlete. And so it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that chess match works out.
I think the real tough thing for Twinsburg, though, is dealing with those receivers that Massillon has. It's something Don Hertler talked about last week. He thought they were the best trio he's seen in some time. And it's quite a handful to figure out who you've got to guard on a particular play, because all those guys come up with big catches.
Absolutely. Twinsburg runs 5 defensive backs as their regular defensive package, so they'll have a couple cornerbacks, 3 safeties. So it will be interesting to see, because they don't quite have the size that Massillon does at the receiving corps. I think that's what makes that Massillon's receivers extra dangerous. Is 6'3" in Justin Olak, 6'2" with Devin Smith. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that.
Also, then obviously the rematch over at Paul Brown on Saturday, McKinley and GlenOak. GlenOak won the first game 14-0, and last year they also had the rematch game in the playoffs. In the case last year, McKinley won in the regular season. GlenOak turned it around, won the playoff game. It'll be interesting to see if that happens again this time, because McKinley seems to have momentum going.
Absolutely, and again, it seems like the team that wins in the regular season doesn't win the rematch. And a lot of times when you see these playoff rematches, and especially a team like McKinley, which is really starting to put it together, if they can kind of keep GlenOak's offense in check, I think they can move the ball. I think they'll be able to move the ball, and it'll be a little bit of a, I can see something like a 17-10, 20-10 type game, but I think McKinley has a chance to really pull that one out.
It should be an exciting matchup of a great high-powered offense against a strong defense. We'll be looking at those games next week when we come back to From the Pressbox on FridayNightOhio.com. For the repository, I'm Chris Bevan.
For the Independent, I'm Chris Easterling.